This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Endodna Health.
Hey cannabis consumers, have you ever consumed a cannabis product thinking it'll make you feel a certain way, but then it doesn't? Don't you wish you had a clear understanding of your own DNA so that you could make informed decisions about what type of cannabis products interact best with your system? Well, now you can with Endodna. Endodna is a simple DNA test that maps your entire endocannabinoid system and then matches that summary with a specific cannabinoid ratio and terpene profile that best aligns with your unique genotype. Imagine being armed with personal information when visiting a dispensary. You'll have the knowledge and power and capability to purchase products that best align with your genotype. Visit their website to purchase the EndoDNA Collection Kit and Endo Decoded Report at endodna.com/products and use the promo code CONNECT15 for a 20% discount. Again, that's endodna.com/products and use the promo code CONNECT15 for a 20% discount. The future of cannabinoid therapeutics is here with EndoDNA. Anthony, Jason, the gentleman of Cherry. What's up, guys?
What's up, Kevin? How are you, man?
I'm doing well.
Hey,
How
Kevin,
are you?
how's it going?
I'm good.
Very
I'm good. Really excited to have you guys on today and talk about your company, Cherry, which is a very prominent brand out of Colorado. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, the origin story and your journey and what led you to your positions today?
I'll start it off. I started growing cannabis about 2003 in my basement, back in the day when I had moving lights and stuff like that. I really fell in love with the plant, and it was a great hobby I learned in the basement. After that, my mom developed lymph node cancer. And so then I really attacked the medical market of it. She ended up taking it, and it helped her recovery completely. She wasn't a smoker. I got her to take the vape pens, the 1-to-1 CBD and stuff like that. So after I saw that, I was very intrigued with what the plant can do on a medicinal level. I sold my company, went in 2008 to a previous company out here medically. And then I met Anthony in 2013 and we ended up starting the brand Cherry.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, so myself, originally in New York, born and raised, went to college in New York. After college, I moved to South Florida. I was in the medical field for quite some time. Lived in South Florida for 9 years. I was a surgical rep for a big company out there. Salesman through and through. Actually, my time in Florida, I saw the pill mill pandemic of just people getting hooked on these pills and these opioids, and I saw a lot of people kind of get out of it with the use of cannabis and trying to aid them in that in a different direction. And then at that time, Colorado kind of entered that market of it being, medically legal dispensaries opening. I had a friend that moved out to Colorado and started cultivating. I knew nothing about marijuana except for smoking it from, occasionally. But I was sick of South Florida, and my wife and I packed up everything and we moved out to Colorado. I started off in the industry literally from the bottom, like Jason. I built out a 3-car garage and learned and did everything. The grower, the trimming, everything. And at that time, you needed to build up a 2-year residency, which I did. I met Jason. We got into our building in Denver. We turned 1 license into 4 licenses through the years. We reached from, our families and friends and pulled some money together. And, where we're at right now, we built out a 30,000 square foot facility located in Denver. I'd like to say that we're one of the best when it comes to out, boutique high-end flower. We pride ourselves on that. We're blessed with an amazing team. And we started the Cherry brand a few years back. And that's really the main focus, cherry picked goodness. And we're trying to follow that same model into other markets.
Wow. What's amazing about that story, and thank you for sharing that, is both of your backgrounds are similar in that it sounds like you really kind of had this aha moment of really understanding the medicinal value of cannabis, right? I mean, Jay, you mentioned with your mom, and her cancer, like, you know, as a treatment, it was just really helping her. And then from your perspective, Anthony, being in the medical field, I mean, you talk about the opioid crisis, and were you seeing people just kind of gravitate to cannabis and do better, or was that something that you were just recommending to some patients? I mean, how did that go down? How did you see
Yeah.
that?
I mean, I just saw a few people that were going down the wrong path, you know, creating an addiction to opioid and, you know, relying on cannabis and THC to kind of take that edge off and try to, you know, wean themselves off of something that was a tremendously horrible road into something that is manageable and actually, after manageable, enjoyable. And it was fascinating, you know, to watch. And some of these people I knew personally, which was amazing. And like, to me, you know, cannabis was really just a recreational thing. But to see it used in a manner like that, more on a medical side and an aid into addiction, was something that I thought, I'm like, this is going to be something amazing. And then obviously Colorado, you know, kicked off that medical market, and it really started to take off. And at that time, it was like, that's it, I'm jumping in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back then too, it was the Stanley brothers were a big part of that. They created the Charlotte's Web, which I know personally, and that was a big movement out here for the medical market and for kids with epilepsy, and all those families are moving their families here to be part of that to help their families out.
Totally. Yeah. And Jay, I mean, with your experience with your mom, was it, I mean, because it sounds like your initial experience with the plant as a cultivator, you said you're in your basement. I mean, probably maybe more for recreational use, but did you see medical value early on, or was it something that you just said, hey, mom, try this, and it started working for her?
You know, I didn't. It was kind of one of those things at the beginning. It was still illegal everywhere. So I did it for, you know, to get high. And then after that, I kind of wanted to learn about the plant. And every year I learned more and more about the cannabinoids, what they do, how they react with each other and stuff like that. So at the very beginning, yes, it was just a recreational thing that led into the medical part of it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, okay, so it's this perfect kind of, you know, formation or intersection of you guys coming together, meeting each other, building out the brand Cherry. And I know that, Anthony, you mentioned this strong focus on boutique, high quality flower. So Jay, I mean, this is obviously in your house too, your wheelhouse, breeding and genetics. Talk about, you know, the level of importance that Cherry puts on that aspect of its business, and what the process looks like.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And Anthony and I have always looked at this industry as a fine wine. We believe that's kind of where it's going. So we decided that also that it's going to go into genetic shift as far as people seeking out those genetics or creating your own. So we decided to create our own company called Cool Beans that is located in Cherry's facility. We pheno hunt about 250 phenos every 2 months to try to find that next best strain for Cherry. It goes through extensive testing over at Cool Beans before we release it on the Cherry side, because we don't want to release anything over to Cherry that's nothing but the best. So we do a lot of one-off strains of some of the hype stuff out right now. I think in the future we're focusing more on a little bit of CBG and CBN crosses, like I mentioned before, the medical side of it. You know, sports science, stuff like that, to help these athletes as well get off their pain pills, not to necessarily get high. So yeah, if Anthony wants to elaborate on the genetics as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, what Jay said, you know, there's a few ways to be pretty successful in this industry. And yeah. So
I'm just for those that are watching, I'm just sharing the Cherry website. So Anthony, go ahead and continue, but we're on the genetics page, and this bud is beautiful, man. So yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So like Jay said, I mean, there's a few ways to look at the industry and be successful. You know, there's that kind of, you know, Coors Light model. Well, Coors Light's great. I drink Coors Light, but that kind of model is, you know, focusing on genetics that are just real producers, not so much, you know, something that is a sought after strain, or, you know, something that really somebody is seeking out, but something more that yields good weight. So you're focusing on genetics that put out maybe 3 pounds of light and up, and you're going more for yield and volume, and you possibly in this market today selling that pound for say $800 or $700 a pound, which is a successful model. Now, the model we focus on is more very boutique, very high end. We put a lot of energy, a lot of love into how do we cultivate this product. You know, anyone who's a grower and grows boutique strains knows that those strains are more finicky. It takes a lot more attention to really pull out, you know, perfection out of those particular strains. And generally they don't yield that much. You know, we try to comfortably get an average of 2 pounds of light figure. So even though we might be yielding a little bit less, we're also demanding a higher price point. And really the pool of competition for us is a lot less than the Coors Light model. And then it goes hand in hand in what Jason and I truly believe that cannabis is, I think, going to be, what Jason thinks, is going to be looked at like fine wine. We see that there's this connoisseurs of wine are the same connoisseurs in flower. You know, they love to pair things together with either it being experience, it music, or, you know, food, or, you know, the company around them. And that's where we come with trying to seek out certain genetics. And for us, it's not a potency game, but more of a terpene profile. And how does the, you know, genetic make you feel, you know, start to finish. So we focus on that with cool beans, and, you know, we fine tune it there before it goes into commercial production on the cherry side. So that's where we think it's heading. And I think that's really, it's an important part of the industry.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned, you know, the focus on getting, you know, the terpene profile right, the cannabinoid ratio right, as opposed to the potency, right? Because we're hearing so much emphasis on potency, especially in California. I don't know what it looks like in Colorado, but there's a learning curve there, I think, for some new consumers, right? I mean, it's not all about potency. There's this thing called the Entourage Effect. So, I mean, why did you guys want to elaborate more on, you know, this plant actually and how it can make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, the potency game, I think, came and went. It's kind of on its downward turn out here in Colorado, but you're completely right. There was a time out here where if it wasn't 30%, no one wanted it. I think it's the opposite. Some of the best strains I've had, Flow, and some of the older strains were only about 18-19%, but they had like a 3% CBG or CBN or something like that, because the cannabinoids actually react together. So the lower THC with the higher another cannabinoid actually could have a more euphoric feeling on you, you know? So I totally don't think it's a potency game. I believe in all the other cannabinoids and make it what the strain is. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, and part of what we do is, you know, we align ourselves with, you know, dispensaries that have a like mind, you know, that want to put out really top end genetics, that have that clientele that seek those things out. And what we do is we do a lot of, you know, training with the employees there, a lot of educational stuff to show them that, hey, it's not only about potency. You know, this is what this can do for you, and this is how you should sell it. These are the keywords you should use. And it helps educate the market. And I think we could probably safely say that Colorado is probably the most educated market throughout the country right now in cannabis. So there is really no faking it here.
Why do you guys say that? I'm just curious. Because I'm sure somebody from California would be like, no, California is, you know?
I would say California too, but I would say that because, you know, California, Colorado has been doing it for so long, and the fact that partly I say Colorado is because we're a heavily regulated market. We have been, you know, our genetics consistently have to go through a string of testing just to be able to be brought to market, where California is now just starting to do that in the last few years. You know, that being said, doesn't mean that theirs or ours are better. Both very educated, but both markets, you really can't fake it. We're not a new market here. You know, consumers know good weed. They know good flower. They know good genetics. So it's like, you really can't pawn it off like, hey, this is fire, when it's really not.
Right. No, that makes sense. Well, let's talk about Cherry's footprint in Colorado. So you mentioned you got your facility in Denver. So let's talk about, I mean, where are y'all located, and what are, you know, some of the sales look like in terms of footprint in different areas throughout the state?
Yeah, so our facility is located in Denver. You know, we basically, you know, we're complete wholesale. We don't have retail locations as of yet. I think we will add one or two to the fold in Denver. But yeah, Denver's a home base. This is what we built out. We're right now the building is doing about 420 flowering lights. We started the business with 96. And, you know, we went from harvesting every 5 weeks to now we're harvesting every 3 weeks, averaging every, you know, 40 to 60 pounds every 5 weeks in the beginning to now we're averaging, you know, 300 plus pounds every 3 weeks. So we've ramped up considerably in the last few years, but we did it in phases. You know, we wanted to make sure that we were staying consistent with the quality and still putting out a very good product. We like to say that we are commercial growers with a boutique feel, because anyone who knows you have boutique growers usually don't go as big as us. But, you know, like we've done it in phases to try to keep the integrity of the model, and it's worked for us. So, you know, the market's been very good to us, and, you know, Colorado is definitely the home base. We're stretching into Oklahoma like a lot of people, but kind of doing it slowly. The market's obviously saturated in Oklahoma right now. Next step is we have an application into the New Jersey market, recreational. We feel very confident. You know, the team that we've teamed up with, we've known for a lot of years, and we feel confident that we'll be able to get a license there. We have a 30,000 square foot facility ready to go as well to be built out. And then we have a couple of, you know, infant stage irons in the fire, you know, in a couple of other markets.
And those facilities, are they indoor or, I mean, greenhouse? Like what light depth? What exactly is the method in your cultivation practices?
They're gonna be all indoor. We're featuring all indoor. Our model is also to be as sustainable as possible. You know, we're pulling a lot of power off this grid, and I'm a green guy, so we're trying to use LED lights, biodegradable mediums, which are cocoa bags. We try to use pulse feeding so we don't run off the water and we're wasting water. We recycle all of our green waste through a green waste company. We try not to use plastic bottles for our nutrients and stuff. So we try to do that footprint as we are indoor growers, because as you know, outdoors they use a lot less energy and stuff. They're more efficient in that way, but they can't put the quality, I believe, out as an indoor grow.
Right. There's a much more control, I would imagine, right, with an indoor grow, as opposed to outdoor, obviously, or even greenhouse. Let's talk about established cannabis brands. So you talked to Anthony about, you know, possible expansions in New Jersey or applying for a license in New Jersey, among other states. So are we seeing this trend of just, you know, single state operators moving to multi-state operations, and particularly in the East Coast?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, definitely branding has become something tremendous in the industry in the last few years. You know, back in the day when Jay and I started this, we used to just kind of sell it to dispensaries as a white label product, and they pawned it off as their own, and that's how we did it. That's pretty much how everyone did it. Mm-hmm. But as the industry evolved, it's become very heavy on brand awareness. People are following brands. They're looking out for the genetics that they're putting out. So if you know, but you have to be very careful also on, you know, creating the brand in one market, being successful, and then trying to mimic that in another market. And the reason that I think, or how we're going to try to do it, is really to control the intellectual property in those other states. And I mean that by, we're not just going to take our genetics and our brand and marketing and just give it to another grower and say, go ahead and do it, because we feel that they're not going to grow it the same way we grow it. So, you know, our Cushmans and Dankdo and the strains that we're known for, they're just not going to be the same in another market. So by controlling the intellectual property, actually building out the grower ourselves, training the growers within our facility, and then doing a transplant into the new markets, and really focusing and overseeing every step, we want to try to mimic what we do in Colorado in another market. You know, Pepsi is Pepsi everywhere. And we'd like to try to stay that way. So for us, as we grew in Colorado, it was in phases. It would kind of do the same thing in other markets. Would we love to be in every legal market? Absolutely, but it's probably not possible all at once. So kind of like stepping into it a little at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I admire that approach. I mean, you're doubling down on the quality and efficacy of your product. You're standing by it, and you'd like to replicate that in different states. So it sounds like with that strategy, there's really not, it's really seems like you want to become, one of the bigger multi-state operators, and acquisitions not really in the cards as of yet.
No.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So when do you find out about New Jersey and the application process there?
I think in the next couple of weeks, Jay, right?
Yeah, that March 24th is the parent deadline. So a couple weeks.
Got you. And so that's another great model because of the importance of having superior genetics in these newer markets, right? I mean, that's what's really going to lack if new high quality breeders don't come in.
Right. It's like we take our genetics to the new market. We're not missing a beat, some people have to search for those or pop from seed or whatever it may be, and we're also going to try and do it to where we have different strains in different markets where it's not just mirrored everywhere. You know what I mean? Maybe do an East Coast drop. We just floated the idea of an East Coast cherry thing or something like that in that realms. So
nice. And my home state just is about to go on sales, I think next month in April, New Mexico. So I don't know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
cool.
There's any opportunity there, but it's right next door to Colorado.
We actually got a call. We met a guy in Oklahoma who has got a grow in a dispensary down there who just reached out a couple of weeks ago, actually. And he said that the New Mexico market, at first they had the plant count cap, right? Now they just released that because they're not going to have close to enough to supply the community and whatnot. So I heard that he was super stoked that they lifted that. So he's able to expand.
Yeah, I heard that too, and I read about it. And one thing I thought was interesting about that move, I know we're getting a little off subject, but was that they didn't cap the plant count for micro growers, or they capped it for micro growers, but they didn't for commercial. So the smaller producers were capped at like 200, while the big players were able to just do whatever, which I don't know. And their whole legislation is based off social equity, so I don't think that made much sense. But
yeah.
It is what it is, guys. This is a crazy time we live in this industry.
Right. And every state's different. They have their own rules. There's no set of rules that are the same from state to state, which is ironic as well. So you got to play by different rules in different states.
Right. And you guys are learning that firsthand with the plan of getting into Oklahoma and New Jersey and other states. I mean, how has that process been? It's got to be a headache.
Well, Oklahoma, it's a Wild West, so they let you do whatever. We did some stuff in Boston as well, but they have a thing where you only can use 25B sprays, which is, soaps and stuff, where you don't have to wear PPE and whatnot, which is great. You just got to keep your grow extremely clean. But that's a little bit different market than here, where we have a list where you're allowed to use certain pesticides and stuff. But out there, it's just 25B, and hopefully you can hold your ground with what you're using,
Yeah. I've heard, and a lot of people talk obviously about how regulated the California cannabis market is. Is Colorado close to that in terms of like having a license for everything, having like you said, a list of pesticides? Like, is it really as crazy as California or not so much?
I think it is.
Yeah. I think it's even worse, no, Jay?
Yeah, I think it is.
Wow.
We saw a video today with the Jungle Boys getting robbed. So they have a little bit different compliance out there where nothing like that would ever happen to us, where, we have a license and whatnot. We're just getting dealt with by the government and robbed. So I think they have a little bit different system going on than we do over here. I think our MED does a terrific job out here in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, we're as far as the regulations. I mean, like I was mentioned before, the testing and a lot of stuff. Testing has to be done. Compliance, we're heavily watched, scrutinized. So it's they keep it real tight. Like Jay said, the Marijuana Enforcement Division here in Colorado does a very good job in a lot of regulations and enforcement. In reality, if every market kind of started off that way, it would keep a nice, healthy industry across the board and a healthy market where everyone who, had licenses had a great opportunity to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's well said. As we wrap up here, I want to talk about, there's this emergence of these celebrity brands, right? And celebrities endorsing certain products. Has Cherry done any celebrity collaborations? I think I read something about a notable rapper that you guys worked with.
Sure. Yeah, we have collaborated with Noriega. Amazing guy, honestly. I mean, he really is very talented, obviously, rap career, and now has actually one of the top podcast Drink Champs, and is doing amazing under Revolt. So we have a partner in our branding company, Vin Landino, who represents Noriega, represents Drink Champs, who I've known from New York a few years now, and he kind of married this together. And the collaboration we did with Noriega started what, Jay, about almost 2.5 years ago, right?
Yeah, about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, that collaboration was a little bit different than some of the other ones that you've seen. It wasn't like a simple licensing deal where he slapped his name on something and we just kind of pay him a royalty. Nori was like super involved in what we did. Jason created a custom strain for him called Super Thug, after one of his hits. And he played a tremendous role in it. We were able to, get him some of our strains, and he picked out what he loved about this strain and that strain. I mean, it was a laundry list of different things.
That had to have been fun for him.
Yeah, that was an enjoyable process for everybody.
Yeah.
So, Jay went into the lab and really, started crossbreeding and breeding different things together that he really enjoyed. And we came out with Super Thug, which, Jay, Dankdo times motor breath number
15. Yep.
15. Yep. So it's an amazing strain. It does very well in the Colorado market. And, he loves it. We continue that relationship with Noriega. We're going to do a couple of great things with him. I believe we're doing a 420 podcast with Drink Champs. And he's blowing up. He's doing amazing things. He's got Kanye West. He just had the Game on the show.
Wow.
So yeah, he's doing really good. So it's been a great relationship. We're pretty proud of that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super Thug. So what kind of, is it more like an indica, a hybrid, sativa?
No, definitely indica. They're definitely indica. Those guys like that heavy high, and they like that gas. So it's got that OG in there, which they love. They don't like that. No, he does not like the fruity stuff. So he stayed away from all that. So we stayed with the gas and earthy and stuff like that. The OG terpenes.
Hell yeah. Me and Nori have the same taste then. I'm right there with him on that. I don't like the fruity stuff. How is that process like? So I know you talked about like all the strains and like the testing, but how did you come up with Super Thugs? Like was it crossbreeding, and like what did that look like?
Well, anytime you're trying to do that, give anybody a list of strains, you're going to have to reverse it, because you have to take the actual genetic. You can't throw seeds or anything. So I had to reverse the female plant, which was the Dankdo. That takes a little while. It takes about 3-4 months. And then I pollinated the other plant, which you have to grow all the way through term, which is another couple months. And then you have to plant those seeds, and everybody knows how long that takes. Another 16-week cycle just to get from seed to your product. Then you have to test it, then you have to smoke it, and then you have to go through that whole process. So I would say from start to finish, any good strain, good quality R&D takes about a year.
Wow. And then to then go to market and establish and have consumers buy in and understand that they like it is another, year or two trial and error, or is it pretty fast adoption?
It's pretty fast. It was Anthony and them had it on the background. We came to launch right immediately when we had it in production. We started with the soft launch, I believe, 10, 20 pounds, and then it ramped up from there throughout the months. So we made it exclusive, got a buzz behind it. We did a launch party at Wolfpack, which is a very close dispensary with ours, and they did a great event for us over there, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, and we mixed it with the podcast, and he's also, I think, Noriega's got a show coming out on VH1. So it was a lot of cross marketing and branding. One of Jason and I's main partner, Lucella, is in the production industry. comedic commercials, Dilly Dilly, Snickers. So we have a great marketing PR kind of background that helps us along with, branding and how to push different things.
That's half the battle, man. That's so, you guys are
Mhm.
so fortunate to have that. Because I mean, as you know, of course, right? You either have that talent in house or you're having to outsource it, and that's always a hit or miss, right? Because
Absolutely.
there's agencies that
Definitely.
could just take advantage and just say, "Oh, here, check the box," or there's ones that are really diligent and adding value. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're very blessed that Ralph moved out here. He's kind of like the third wheel that was missing for me and Anthony, and he kind of helped us take this brand to the next level.
Nice. That's great to hear, man. It's all about human capital at the end of the day. So, well, hey, as we wrap up, I want to give you guys the floor. I mean, what's on your mind? What do you want to leave the audience with?
First of all, we appreciate the time. Thank you for having us on. This has been great. It's always great to do these things and build some awareness. Obviously, get to promote the brand and let everyone know kind of who we are and what we're about. Shout out to our team. Jason and I honestly wouldn't be successful in this industry if it weren't for the guys that continuously work throughout the day for us. They're the ones that put in a lot of work alongside of us. They have a lot of pride in what we do. And in reality, it's like a big family in our warehouse. And I think that's honestly in one of the bigger pieces why we're successful and why Jason and I are actually able to step into other markets and hopefully be successful, because we know that we have, a very strong team back home, continuously cracking the whip every single day and really, concentrating on the focus, which is, a consistent, high quality product and putting out a respectable brand.
Very well said. Jay, you got anything?
No, Anthony pretty much nailed it all on the head. The team is everything to us. We take pride in our clean medicine, and I think it's only up from here for us and the industry. And I want to thank you, Kevin. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. It's been a really good conversation. It's been the pleasure's been all mine. And where can people find y'all's website and social media if they want to learn more?
Sure. The social media is cherry_Colorado. Cool Beans, Jay. What's Cool Beans again? Sorry.
Cool Beans _Colorado, and that's Cool Beans with 3 O's.
Nice.
And then it's cherrybrand.com. We also have we're launching an apparel site as well. We're just fine tuning some of our apparel. We want to come out with some good quality product on that site as well. Come find us in Colorado. Look us up.
Awesome. I make trips out to Colorado, once or twice a year. So I'm definitely going to be looking you guys up when I fly into Denver.
Absolutely, man. Come by, come to the warehouse, come take a tour, come hang out.
I'd love that. I'd love that. That'd be great. Well, thank you guys so much again. And thank you all for listening. Until next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.